Are you an unrepentant scrap hoarder?
Fine, human, take old junk, but strong not see point.
Struggling to keep your tiny farming settlement going without your firstborn, thinking it's a hot idea to join up with the pyromaniacal raider gang next door?
Yes, but I am special.
Then stay tuned to find out how to turn your sad wastelander shack into a thriving city.
Strong like that game. Strong win.
Carving out a home in the Commonwealth is a hard life, especially for a farmer living in between two raider gangs and a horde of super mutants.
What this place? Look boring to strong, no weapons or things to smash.
If you're lucky, you'll be able to grow enough food for your family and have some extra to trade. They might nag you from time to time about that junk you're constantly collecting, but that junk can actually be put to use beyond just turning your walls into a collage of pre-war street signs. You can attract traders and farm as much junk as you farm food. You can add on to your tiny cabin and provide beds for those visiting your farm. You can let other settlers join you and eventually grow into a small town. Add some walls and full-time guards for defenses to keep out the Forged Gang, the Gunners, and the other big bads.
What you say?
Nothing. Give it some time, enough resources and sweat off your brow, and your one-room hovel will be a grand old scrappy hotel before long, complete with only slightly rickety access to the elevated highway above. And with that, you have peace of mind and safety from all but the most verdy of birds. Taking a page from the Gunner's book, you might see fit to build a whole town in the sky. A far cry from that cramped little studio where you had to share a room with your ungrateful family. And up there is another kind of thing you can farm in addition to junk and or food. Wind power. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to pause and give you a spoiler warning that is long, stern, thorough, and you get the idea. If you want to get the full experience of Rise of the Commonwealth, the full, oh holy shit, factor that comes with arriving at one of your cities to find it twice the size as when you left, well, consider yourself warned. Just to be doubly clear, I'm going to reveal in this video the fully upgraded, bustling city that is the level 3 Finch farm of Rise of the Commonwealth.
Strong still watch.
If you're playing Fallout on a PC or Xbox and have gotten yourself a copy of the newly released Sim Settlements expansion, Rise of the Commonwealth, you may soon find yourself visiting thriving cities all across the greater Boston Wastetropolitan area. In the vanilla game, Finch Farm is not a location that it generally impresses, though its highway access is something that's given way to some pretty amazing builds by others over time. I originally started this build soon after the Nuka World DLC came out. I'd intended it to be a vassal settlement to some local raiders, because as an actual farm with both crops and more crops, my raiders could avoid playing with fertilizer for work and instead do so purely for recreation. In its original form, this build was based around the premise that the Finch family would upgrade their dwelling over time, adding more floors to it, some wind power, and through that less vertically challenged structure, gain some decently sturdy but still fairly scrappy and believable access to the highway above. At that point, there was little more than some windmills, some very far above ground planters, and a scrappy home or two. And then some clown named Kinggath, who makes good mods, whatever those are, came along and told me there was a way to build stuff for Sim Settlements without having to learn the creation kit. Being the lazy oaf that I am, I threw my hat in the ring. Finch Farm became one of the first settlements started in the development of Rise of the Commonwealth, and in so doing, it became the test case for every single Brahmin fucking roadblock, bug, hurdle, and so on that we ran into during development. So, it was also the last one to be finished. I have rebuilt this place so many times, I don't know how many. It is my personal hell. I don't care if you find bugs. I will never go back there to fix them. Enjoy that weird fishing pole hovering in the sky because I'm done with you sons of behemoths. Ah, fuck. I still have to actually show you level 3. Alright, fine. Just bear in mind some of the stuff in this video might be slightly different from what you see in your game, either because we've fixed bugs or created more, or because I just snapped and sabotaged the entire thing.
Yeah! Want to just smash everything.
So I gave you a little bit of the history here, but I want to give some of the theory as well. The goal of this build, and many of the builds in this mod, was to take the key ingredients that exist in the vanilla game and extrapolate. In the case of Finch Farm, that's a number of things. They use road signs as decorations everywhere. And so it is when this settlement becomes a city, though many of them serve a somewhat more practical use than just as wall art. The Junkyard, that is the subject of much griping from Abraham's wife and children, because he never does anything with it and just clutters up every damn thing. Well, Caps can be a powerful motivator, and he's turned his hobby into a pillar of the local economy. He has a fully functional junkyard and 4 industrial plots that supplement the sorting and management of scrap. The crane you see here at level 3 arrived by way of the other nearby junkyard occupied by gunners. At level 1, it's on their side of the river. At level 2, it can be seen being dragged out of the river by Finch, so that it can be put to better use in his junkyard. The highway itself is a defining feature of this settlement. Without stating the obvious way in which its elevation provides safety for most of those that dwell or sell here, there are also chunks of highway, and vehicles, and signs integrated into the very walls and buildings of this entire place. The crops remain, and over time the settlers have come up with new ways to irrigate their fields, store water in tanks for long periods of time, and even pump it up to the highway town above. The building that became as a quaint shack that sleeps 4 has become a hotel with a general store in the lobby. There's an outdoor shower, a private workshop, and if you need to stay the night at the hotel, you have 3 rooms to choose from, one of which has a nice surprise in it. Outside these smaller guest rooms, you can find some refreshments and decorations, including a display case containing Abraham's old shish kebab sword. Up above, there is a rooftop garden with a spot to relax, a kitchen, a rec room for poker, or whatever sex doll simulation these pervs are running. Above that, there's a permanent guard post and a windmill for power and access to the highway above. Opposite the hotel, you'll find another store. If you're not using an add-on pack, I recommend building a general store or even an armor store, which, since it has highway signs integrated into its design, will fit right in. Near the beach, you'll find another store, an interior commercial plot for which I recommend a medic, water and fishing access through a small pier, and a number of houses occupied by those who don't have the means to get themselves a spot up on the highway. Speaking of which, let's hold fast onto a railing and make our way up there. I'm taking the back way up to demonstrate the alternate path that settlers have to access the upper levels of the settlement. I added this after realizing that when you have 22 plus NPCs in one place and they want to ascend, that amazing, patented Bethesda AI will cause no shortage of traffic jams and stupid stair lingering. Once up top, there are a few unique shops. Front and center is a jab at the Forged Gang, a weapon store called Fight Fire with Fire, and at level 3 it will not disappoint any discerning explosive enthusiast. Next door is a skilled tailor, who, like many others before him, has borrowed the name of Ye Old Fallon's Department Store. Believe he sells, I don't know, clothes? Clothes. The third entrepreneur who has set up shop here in the sky is a skilled brewer, what named his shop the Highwayman.
Humans always drinking. Makes them weak.
You may think it's a fun play on words, but if you want affordable booze, you'll have to work those calves and go find some down below. You want the safety of living up on the highway, well, you'll be paying out the nose for your wasteland inebriates. On the plus side, you'll get some mean arc if you need to take a leak off the edge of the highway. Just don't lose your balance.
Looks like piss. Tastes like piss.
If you want to enjoy your night with a fine view of the stars and some good company, there's space around the fire. Make friends with this settler in the house with the blue door, and they might gift you some of their smoked meat.
Should hang that. Tastes better after 2 days.
Those caught stealing, brandishing weapons, or worse, may find themselves dangling precariously over the edge. Going from the highway to the ground and back may pay off on leg day, but those who want to work up to Brahmin lifting can do so with a nice view and a cool breeze. There's a player home in this corner of Finch Farm, the lower level of which is your power armor garage. I'd show you the inside of the cabin above, but I don't want to spoil every surprise. Suffice to say, it's got one of the best views in the Commonwealth. The buildings I didn't explore up here are a combination of apartments and houses, normal sim settlements plots, and custom-built exteriors that contain the new interior plots. Combined, there are about 10 of them, with 3 additional beds tucked in various places. You might be asking, where are the toilets in Finch Farm? Well, there's one in major disrepair down on the southern wall, and up here, well, is there a more direct way to fertilize the crops?
Ah, smell like nasty shit here.
If you've started your city but haven't upgraded it yet, know that there's a vast improvement in lighting at level 3 that really makes the place come alive. For power, Finch Farm has 6 or 7 windmills and a couple small generators. It's a pretty self-sufficient place once fully upgraded, and I gotta say, it came out looking pretty well. Scrappy city builds were not really a type of build I was passionate about before I delved into this project, but you get really creative when you have to build solely with vanilla objects so that your mod has no dependencies on other mods.
Puny weakling. Shut up! Strong tide of human always talking.
Yeah, okay, you're right, buddy. Thank you for taking the time to watch this tour. I hope that it hasn't spoiled too much for you, and that if you're like me, this has motivated you even more to get Old Man Finch's crappy shack leveled up to its full glory. I also want to thank the crew of talented masochists who helped test, navmesh, and level down my ridiculously large and detailed builds. Finch Farm is only one of 4 of mine in the Rise of the Commonwealth expansion. So leave a like if you're so inclined, and stay tuned /subscribed if you want to see the upcoming tours of Outpost Zimonja, Jamaica Plain, and Hangman's Alley. They kick a lot of ass, and I can't wait to show you.
Obey us. We are strong.